How dare you live in luxury on my sin? Fortune, you mere daughter-in-law, leave. You're a nuisance. Even seeing you is annoying. In the middle of an argument with my husband, my mother-in-law, changing her complexion suddenly, made these incomprehensible remarks. Remarks at my mother-in-law. What happened? You think I don't know anything, but I have heard everything from Jack. I'm aware that you're squandering Jack's fortune and accumulating debts. He doesn't need a wife who just squanders money around. Leave right now. I had decided to endure my mother-in-law's harassment to continue my married life, but I was shocked by my husband's betrayal. There's no reason to support them anymore. They simply don't know gratitude. I understand. I'll leave. I thought it was pitiful, but decided to leave as they wished. My name is Alice. I'm 29 years old and a remote worker. I've always been frail. My mother raised me single-handedly, and she's 65 this year. She's always been concerned about me. Even if you're not strong, there will come a time when you must earn a living. I can't always protect you, Catherine, so you need to learn the skills to survive. Yes, I understand. I'll do my best. I've lived supported by my mother for a long time, but after dropping out of high school, I've been self-learning and earning a living from remote work. Even on days I feel tired, working at my own pace was ideal for me. Initially, I only made about $300 a month, but gradually my income increased. I was seen as a shut-in at home after leaving high school, but I believe I'm on the path I chose. A few years after I started working, my income far exceeded the average for my age group, and I was no longer swayed by others' words. Your work seems to be going well. I'm so happy now. I can feel at ease. When my job stabilized, my mother showed relief and joy as if it was her own achievement. At that time, my mother, who had been working in a supermarket deli section, was assigned a leadership role, and she was physically and mentally exhausted. Mom, how long do you plan to keep working? We can live on my income alone, so why not quit and live a relaxed life? Seeing my mother in pain every day, I couldn't keep silent. She never imagined that I, frail as I was, would become her support. Touched by my suggestion, my mother thanked me repeatedly, shedding tears. Eventually, my mother quit her supermarket job at the right time and began living a more relaxed life. She sometimes helped with my remote work, but she mostly enjoyed a peaceful retirement. She went on trips with friends, enjoyed luxury lunches, etc. Unlike her time at the supermarket, she regained her former energy and spent her days cheerfully. No matter how busy I was, I always had dinner with my mother and talked about the day's events. I had lunch with a friend today. Her daughter got married. She's excited to see her grandchild. Catherine, you're busy with work, so maybe there's no chance for a relationship right now, but I hope you'll find someone wonderful. Eventually, hearing this, I responded with a slightly troubled expression. Marriage, huh? I've never seriously thought about it, but it's something to aspire to, isn't it? That was a conversation I had with my mother. To be honest, I never seriously considered marriage. I have often fallen ill since I was young. During elementary and middle school, I was in and out of the hospital, and I had to drop out of high school due to poor health. With such a background, I had no friends to call my own, let alone conversations with the opposite sex. However, as my mother said, maybe marriage and having children wouldn't be so bad if there was the right connection. I began to hope for that. There was a moment when I felt that this wish might come true. One day, I took the morning off for the first time in a while and went to the shopping mall alone. Then, a salesperson at the jewelry store approached me. Are you looking for a gift? I'd be happy to help. Yes, thank you. Actually, I'm thinking of a necklace for my mother's birthday. Do you have any recommendations? This was my first encounter with Jack, who would later become my spouse. A gift for your mother? That's wonderful. Shall I show you some recommendations? Do you have a budget in mind? I haven't set a specific budget. If I find something appropriate, I plan to buy it. Please show me your recommended jewelry. When I visited the jewelry store for my mother's birthday, I unexpectedly hit it off with Jack. We chatted while looking at products and somehow ended up exchanging contact information. It was an unusual development for an employee and a customer, but we were naturally drawn to each other. Of course, I chose a very expensive item recommended by Jack for my mother's birthday. But what was more captivating was the exhilarating encounter with Jack. After that, we kept in touch amidst our busy lives and occasionally went on dates. We quickly started a relationship, and things progressed smoothly until we eventually started discussing marriage. My mother seemed to sense that I had a new partner, and when I told her, "Mom, I'm thinking of marrying someone," she was delighted, not surprised. "I thought you've been looking more lively lately, so you've got a boyfriend. It's wonderful that you're thinking of marriage. I'd love to meet him." For me, nearing 30, the idea of marrying in my 20s was like a dream, something I hadn't even considered until recently. My mother seemed to feel the same. Later, when I introduced Jack to my mother, we learned that he too was raised in a single-mother household. "I will definitely make Catherine happy. Please allow me to marry her." Receiving such a confident greeting, both my mother and I couldn't hide our smiles. For my mother, my marriage was unexpected, but she was happy that I had brought someone trustworthy. Our dating period wasn't very long, but it was about destiny and timing. My mother understood that well and was genuinely happy for our marriage. After that, I went to greet Jack's family. Little did I know that this would greatly change my life. Jack, like me, lived at his mother's house. When I arrived at Jack's house, located in a quiet residential area, his mother looked at me up and down and said, "I heard Jack wanted to get married, so I wondered what kind of person you'd be. But you're quite plain. I was expecting someone flashy and assertive, so it's a surprise." "Mom, that's a bit much." "It's rude to say that to someone who you're meeting for the first time," I said, trying to maintain composure. My first impression of my mother-in-law was the worst. I couldn't understand what she was thinking, and her eyes, laughing creepily while looking at me, were extremely uncomfortable. It seemed like Jack was trying to stand up for me, but he also appeared to be careful not to upset his mother. "Nice to meet you. I'm Alice. I've been dating Jack with the prospect of marriage in mind." "Oh, I've already heard about that from Jack. Your name, age, job, and even the fact that you come from a single-mother family." She interrupted me and looked at me with sarcasm. An unpleasant person. That description fit her perfectly. Then she said, "I have no objections to the marriage, but Jack and I plan to live together. Also, we're considering buying a new apartment. Once you both get married, let's live there, all three of us. If you can't accept this, then maybe marriage is out of the question." I hadn't heard about this. It seemed Jack and his mother had planned this all along, choosing a residence for the three of us to live in after marriage. They handed me a brochure for the apartment they planned to buy. It was a very luxurious four-room high-rise condo. "This is an incredibly luxurious condo, so the three of us will live here. In this high-rise condo, yeah, didn't I mention it? I can't be separated from Mom even after marriage. I worry about her, so if you decide to marry me, living with my mom is unavoidable. You understand, right?" I felt uneasy seeing Jack's expression at that time, but my mind was in turmoil and I couldn't think straight. Afterwards, Jack was as kind as ever to me. I found myself believing in his kindness. In hindsight, I should have said, "I need some time to think." But when I returned home, my mother was so happy about my marriage that I couldn't bring myself to delay the conversation. As a result, the marriage life plan by Jack and his mother began. Fortunately, the new high-rise condo was very close to my mother's house. If there were any problems, I could quickly visit my mother, and she could come to my apartment. There was that advantage. If there were any problems, I could quickly visit my mother, and she could come to my apartment. There was that advantage. However, I couldn't achieve the life I desired. As soon as we started living together, my mother-in-law declared, "Alice, you understand, right? From now on, you'll be taking care of my daily needs. cleaning, laundry, and, of course, preparing meals perfectly. I'm counting on you. I expected to be trusted with everything, but my mother-in-law began to behave abnormally, monitoring my every move. I was forbidden to contact my mother, and she was not allowed to visit our house. The most shocking thing was that I had to bear all the household expenses. Do you realize who you have to thank for living in this luxurious apartment? From now on, never forget your gratitude to us. What? What did you just say? My mother-in-law seemed to have no recognition of the fact that I was supporting the household, believing that her son was the provider. You might be satisfied with the small amount of money you earn on your computer, but for us, that's worthless. What good is that petty cash? I was shocked by her harsh words, realizing she didn't understand the actual financial situation. I thought about showing her the household accounts, but decided to talk to my husband first. Why doesn't your mother know that I'm supporting the household? She criticizes me every day, saying I'm living off her, and she seems to underestimate my earnings. What's going on? Ahaha, are you bothered by that? It doesn't matter what mom thinks. Actually, the credit for getting this condo is partly mine, so it's natural for her to think that way. My husband said this with full confidence. Since getting married, he hasn't contributed financially at all. I've been paying for all the furniture and appliances. Despite this, he just laughed it off, offered no help to me in distress, and changed the subject. This was unbelievable coming from the kind person he used to be. Because of this, my trust in my husband wavered, and my resentment towards my mother-in-law grew day by day. One day, he came home excited about purchasing a new luxury car on loan. I bought a luxury car suitable for this condo. It's on loan, but it's better than a compact car, right? Cool, isn't it? Since moving to the condo, my husband's lifestyle completely changed. He never seemed materialistic before, but he started buying tailor-made suits, luxury shoes, expensive watches and wallets, and now a new car, all without consulting me. Don't you think this is a bit too much? Are you sure about the payments? I can't take on any more expenses since we moved. Not a single penny. Just as I was about to finish my sentence, he shut me up. What are you thinking? Who do you think you are? Remember who you have to thank for getting married. If I hadn't approached you, you'd still be at your mom's house doing remote work. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe he would say such a thing. I couldn't take it anymore and objected to his words. Stop joking. Who do you think should be grateful? Making high-cost purchases without any consultation is insane. Enough is enough. What? Don't talk back to me. Don't mess with me. The situation was on the verge of turning into a physical altercation. At that moment, my mother-in-law, noticing our fight, appeared. What's this, Alice? Such a hot-headed attitude. I've been listening, and I've had enough. Spending so lavishly, using my son's money. Just get out. You're a nuisance. My mother-in-law didn't listen to me at all, blaming me as if I was entirely at fault. I was just stunned by her sudden and nonsensical accusations. What, mother-in-law? What are you talking about? You think I don't know? I've heard everything from Jack. I know all about you squandering his money and even getting into debt. We don't need an economic parasite. Just leave. I had planned to endure my mother-in-law's harassment to continue my married life, but my husband's betrayal was beyond my imagination. In reality, I wasn't living lavishly or in debt. The ones wasting money were these two ungrateful, is the word for them. My husband, affirming his mother's words, said with a laugh, "What will you do, huh? Apologize or leave? If you leave, I won't stop you, but remember it means divorce. Understood. I'll leave. I don't need the furniture and appliances I paid for. I'll leave them here." I wanted to throw their words back in their faces. After all, thanks to me, they were living in a 4-room condo. Yes, I'll file for divorce online now. Can you sign it quickly? I'll take the responsibility to submit it to the office. Saying that, I started searching online. My mother-in-law, watching me, seemed delighted, happy about me leaving the high-rise condo. Whether it was a lack of imagination or understanding about how life would unfold after this, perhaps she has a low IQ. But I wasn't interested in their future. I took the completed divorce papers, quickly packed my things, and arranged to leave the house. My mother-in-law continued her sarcastic remarks until the end. Beside her, my husband was rejoicing while wearing a similar expression. I'll submit the divorce papers. There will be no alimony or division of property. Here's the document. Just sign here. Yeah, I'll sign it. I was worried you might claim this apartment. Turns out I was worrying for nothing. As I quietly left, thinking I had no interest in this apartment, I emptied all my bank accounts. I might be criticized, but I was confident to face any condemnation. After all, every penny in those accounts was earned by my hard work over the years. Returning to my mother's house, she greeted me with a surprised expression. I've been worried. I called several times but couldn't get through. I even went to your condo, but they wouldn't let me in. Are you okay? What a call! What do you mean? Surprised by my mother's words, I carefully checked my phone and found that her number was set to reject in ex-husband's voice. I immediately knew it was about money. They were probably struggling with various expenses. We're struggling with the condo's mortgage and utility bills. I had to sell the new car and pawn my branded watch, but it's still not enough. So please help me out. I'm begging you. As expected, they were behind on the condo's payments and couldn't even afford the utility bills. From what I heard, their situation seemed quite dire. Oh, that's unfortunate. If we were still married, I might have felt obligated to help, but we're divorced now. I'm not generous enough to lend money to a stranger. Sorry to hear that. I know, but you're the only one I can turn to now. Please help me out. His mother was probably there too, yelling in the background. Turn to someone. Isn't she right behind you? You can ask your dear mother for help. As I said this, my mother-in-law, unable to hold back, took the phone. What's with you, Alice? Being so cold? Were your former family in trouble? Can't you help? Our accounts are all zero. You gain nothing by holding a grudge against us. You're the lowest. What are you talking about? That was my money. You, who kicked me out of the house, have no right to talk about helping family members. If you keep this up, I'll bill you for all the living expenses. Okay, originally intending to stay calm, I got irritated and ended up threatening to charge them for all the living expenses I had paid for them. Surprisingly, my words hit them hard. Wait, please don't do that. We're just in financial trouble and seeking help. Yeah, please don't burden us any further. We promise not to bother you again, Alice. Is that okay? They excused themselves and made absurd. With a determined stance, I decided to put an end to this hassle. I'll let it go this time, but if you contact me again, I'll bill you for all the past living expenses. Okay, understood. Sorry, we won't bother you anymore. We won't contact you either. Okay, although I didn't quite understand, I managed to clearly cut ties without being persistently bothered. I thought they would chase me more stubbornly, but they were really in financial trouble. After that, I blocked their numbers. I was relieved that they wouldn't contact me again. But one day, my mother told me she saw them packing and leaving the high-rise condo. They looked miserable, not at all like residents of a high-rise condo. Apparently, they couldn't afford to keep living there due to the mortgage and utility bills. It seems they're still struggling with debt repayment, as the house has not yet been sold. A true case of getting their just desserts. My ex-husband worked at a jewelry shop, but in reality, he wasn't earning much. He finally realized that obtaining the high-rise condo and living our life there was all thanks to me, but it's too late for him to realize that now. I want to start fresh, focusing on spending peaceful times with my mother. I'm currently living comfortably in my childhood home, but I'm planning to find a new house to live in with my mother. As part of honoring my mother, I'm considering moving into a barrier-free luxury home. I'll be patient in finding a home that suits us both. Alice, you've always excelled in your job. Keep up the great work. I'm here to back you up. Encouraged by my mother's kind words, I'm resolved to work diligently for her sake from this point forward.